constantly trying to prove yourself will ruin your life. Maybe not all at once, but slowly you'll overthink, overwork, overcomplicate. And still, no matter what you do, it will never be enough. When your self-worth is tied to results, you become a bottomless pit, always needing more. So you just keep chasing validation to feel okay. And that's what leads to burnout. To unpack this, I'm joined by Nick Orchard, founder of the Big Refresh and Uncut coaching, who nearly burnt his life to the ground by trying to prove he was enough till he found a new way forward. I'm Nick Brax, and this is Move Your Mind, where we help you change your life by changing your mind. And if you look fine on the outside, but you feel lost on the inside, you've come to the right place. This episode will change your life by changing your relationship with proving yourself, so you can simplify your life and finally give yourself permission to be yourself. Is that a common thing with high achievers when they're used to getting the validation, to being the best at something, and they're just not willing to then be at the bottom of something else because their ego can't handle it?
100%. And it means that's the ultimate blind spot all the time. It means you're always going to be covering up deficiencies or skill gaps or spaces where you could be improving your craft and getting better all the time. But instead, it's just like, I just need to just focus on these skills that got me to the dance in the first place and just keep squeezing these out for all I possibly can. But sooner or later, that's going to come back to bite. I saw this amazing, I'm such a Kendrick Lamar fan, man. I saw this amazing interview with Kendrick Lamar a little while ago where people were asking him about like the Super Bowl and his big successes that he's had recently. And he was like, I don't care about any of that. Like, I just go in the studio and write and practice my craft every day. And 9 days out of 10, everything I write is shit. And then one day it's good. And that's awesome. And I'm stoked. And then I just keep going and keep trying to get better and keep improving. That's all it's about. What an awesome mantra for life.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Because it's, focus on the process and let the wins come when they come, but don't make it about that, because then you really can't go wrong. If you're engaged in what you're doing, you're not living for those highs. If you are, it's going to be a pretty painful experience, and you're going to then get addicted to needing to sustain that, and it just obviously doesn't work. There's too many examples of seeing all of these people that have had success, celebrities, etc., that have a huge downfall because they're addicted to that. Why is burnout a bigger issue than ever in the modern world?
I think burnout is a huge issue because it's kind of fueled by the hustle culture. I mean, the reality is in Australia, 61% of Australians experience burnout, which is a massive 12% spike on just 5 years ago. So we've got this, many tributaries to the river of burnout. But we, on the one hand, are turning into these validation-seeking missiles. We're so used to getting the likes and the love on Instagram. We want the feedback from the manager telling us we're doing a good job all the time. We want to be ticking all those boxes. And at the same time, there's this real hustle culture mentality of it's all about the inputs. It's all about the grind. It's about the hours. We just put it in again and again and again. And the reality is that's not how the human body is meant to function. We're meant to rest. We're meant to have holistic lives where we have balance, where we have things going on for ourselves outside of our work and outside of our pursuits. And we're meant to be able to live in the now and enjoy the beautiful things that are in front of us. But instead, we're just focusing on the future. We're focusing on this idea of ourselves that is so far removed from what actually supports the conditions when we're feeling great. And yet being pulled in that direction, being pulled in, chasing the likes, chasing the validation, it can be really crushing for people.
It's almost impossible to avoid. You wake up, you open your phone, and even if you're not looking for triggers, it's everywhere. So it's so difficult. If you don't have that self-awareness, you're going to fall into it. Even when you do have the self-awareness, it's very hard not to fall into these patterns.
100%. And it's because it starts to tie into our sense of self. Like, I'm the one who pushes through, or I'm the one who can outwork everyone. And that was 100% my mentality. I was plagued by imposter syndrome in my career, in my executive life. And dude, it just catches up with you in these ways. It's like, if I'm not going to be the smartest person in the room, I'm going to be the hardest worker in the room. I'm going to outwork everyone every day. And sooner or later that comes home to bite. And as well, it's just not an investment in your best self, doing your best work, even being the most productive and getting the best outcomes.
Is that what got you into this work? So you were working in corporate, you were grinding yourself into the ground, you got burnt out, and that led to where you are now?
I think I've got an obscure career story, man.
I
So
love obscure stories.
I started my career as a hip hop artist in Australia. So I finished
Wow.
school and I was, going to be a rapper. I was convinced, and I was in a band with my best friend. And it was funny. There was this big music magazine at the time in Melbourne called Beat Magazine, and Beat Magazine came to review our band one night, and we thought we put on the performance of a lifetime. And the review was this 5-star review, right? And I said, amazing, hilarious satire of hip hop culture, like so funny, like these guys are hysterical. But we weren't trying to be funny at all. So, like, really, this 5-star review just like eviscerated us completely. But anyway, I was surrounded by
Oh my
many of,
God.
I was crazy. I was surrounded by many of the best rappers in the country, though, and started hip hop nights where big MCs like 360 and Illy and Seth Century and Pez and these guys all cut their teeth at these nights. There was a great community. And ended up teaching rapping in remote Aboriginal communities, First Nations communities around the country, which was an amazing, beautiful experience for several years. But eventually, as you do, I fell in love and decided to try to get a job closer to home, which led into this career of I was a counselor initially and then moved into broader work in the nonprofit space. But this whole time, like I was always chased by this sense of I didn't come the traditional route. I hadn't gone to university, got the degree, got the thing. I was learning on the job everywhere I went. And that kept following me through my whole career until eventually I landed, after many fabulous opportunities, but landed in government. And I think in government, the thing that stood out for me was that I had a few skills that other people might not have had, which I'd leaned on so hard my whole life and meant I could kind of cruise through school, which was good pattern recognition. I could tell a decent story and I could understand people and speak to people. And those things mean you get elevated really fast in a place like government or in a corporate life. And I ended up in this executive job, but just surrounded by people who were so smart, so talented, had gone that traditional route, had those foundational building blocks that I'd skipped past. And I just felt like I was rammed against this glass ceiling. And I was like, oh man, like they're going to get me. Like they're going to find out any second now. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. And everything's going to come crashing down to the extent that in 2019, I've never told anyone this story. So in 2019, I was on the train on my way into work. It was like packed. It was like sardines crammed in on the train. And I was listening to the Tim Ferriss podcast, and it was an interview with this guy called Jerry Colonna, a great coach, by the way, fantastic coach. And I really believed at this point I was the only person in the whole world who felt this way. And I was so scared to ever tell anyone. And in the middle of this podcast, Jerry started talking as though he was talking to someone with imposter syndrome and said, you reckon you're the man, like you're showing up, you're pushing it every day, but really deep down, you know that you're a fucking fraud and that everyone is going to find out sooner or later. And dude, on this train, I started bawling my eyes out. Like and I'm not a pretty crier. I was like snot crying like everywhere. People are like backing away from me. I mean, I had like a lovely ride with some space for the rest of the train. People thought I'd lost my mind. I had my earpods in, I'm crying on the train. But even learning that and acknowledging that moment didn't change my work habits. I still believed that to be the best or even to perform adequately and for everyone to not realize that I didn't know my stuff, that I could just outwork everyone. And that parlayed in a really dangerous way in 2020 when COVID hit, my job got bigger, my portfolio got bigger, and I made a choice while trying to juggle this enormous portfolio of supporting vulnerable young people in Victoria during the lockdowns. And the choice was I decided I was going to stop sleeping for a few days. I was like, I'm just going to go like 2 or 3 days without sleeping and just catch up and get on top of this inbox, get on top of this stuff, and then I'll get back to sleeping again. And on the third day of doing that, like I started losing days anyway, But I started finding emails, and I mean, I'm not talking a couple, like 30, 40, 50 emails in my sent box that I had no recollection of writing whatsoever. Like they were fine emails,
Oh,
like they were legit. They were written at like 3 in the morning, but I couldn't remember writing them, like zero recollection of them. And then a couple of days later, I was chairing a meeting of other executives, a big high level meeting across government. And in the middle of the meeting, I blinked. And when my eyes opened again, I was in my car driving at 130 kilometers an hour on the wrong side of the road. I live in Belgrave. I'm out in the forest here outside Melbourne. I was driving through the middle of the forest between Belgrave and Callista, another small town, 130 Ks, and had no idea how I'd gotten there. I didn't remember the meeting ending. I didn't remember getting in the car. I didn't remember anything at all. And after I pulled over and my hands stopped shaking enough for me to check my phone, I realized I'd lost 2 hours. I didn't know where I'd been, what had happened. If it weren't for the fact we're in lockdown, I could have died. Someone else could have died. But I eventually stopped shaking enough and calmed myself down enough to get home and called work. And that was the beginning of having to take 2 months of paid leave rather, 2 months off. But that was a challenge as well, because that was like running at full force into this massive mattress of nothing. You know what I mean? It was like I've gone from being so overstimulated every day for the last decade of my life to suddenly there's nothing, and I need to sit here with the decisions I've made and to think about who am I if I'm not this dude? Like, who am I and what do I exist for?
yeah, it's confronting. Wow. Well, mate, thank you for being so open and sharing that. And I think, as you said there when you were crying and you heard that message, it's so important we talk about this stuff as men because I know for a fact from the work I do, I'm sure you would see it firsthand as well. There are so many people that you would never think are struggling behind the scenes that aren't talking about this stuff and they're suffering in silence. And it's serious. It's male suicide, is higher than ever. It's gone up in the last 10 years. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big thing.
It's so true, man. And we do need to talk about it. And it's wild, actually. I was watching this Diary of a CEO podcast episode really recently, and there was someone on, a guest, who was saying burnout doesn't exist. In fact, her quote was, "You're not a candle. You can't burn out," which was like amazing. But she was saying, like I literally don't know anyone successful who's burned out ever. So it's just like not real. And you know what? Like, that's probably true, but it's probably true because there's so much stigma about talking about burning out, talking about imposter syndrome, that people are terrified to talk about it. Because what does that say about me? It means I'm
Yeah.
weak, or I'm not enough, or I can't hack it, or everyone's going to judge me. No one's going to like me. No one's going to employ me. No one's going to buy my stuff.
100%, mate. And I was literally about to bring that up because I saw that post and I had seen her that had come up about a week ago on my social media, and then I saw your post and I had a good laugh at that because I was, agreeing with your view on it. Like it's just ridiculous, like just blanket saying burnout doesn't exist, but it's dangerous, and it's like you're saying there, you hear these things and I love Stephen Bartlett, but I'll look at things like him and I have to pull myself out because I'm like very easily start thinking I need to work harder, I need to do more. How can he handle doing all of those things? How come my podcast isn't a huge production like he's? How come he can do 5 different companies and do it better? What am I doing wrong? But I'm already feeling like I'm at my limit right now. Something's not right, and it makes you literally want to quit, feel burnt out, etc. And it's this stuff's everywhere. Like how dangerous do you think it is that we are hearing all of these different messages without context and applying it directly to our own lives?
I think it's extraordinarily dangerous. And thank you so much for sharing that point about comparison as well. Like, it's a cliche, but comparison is the thief of joy, man. Like, it really, really is. And like I could look at Nick Brax's Instagram and go, "Oh my god, this guy's killing it, dude!" Like, there's these amazing legions of followers doing this incredible work, these great businesses, these awesome methods. Like, we could compare ourselves to everyone else forever, or we could find that place within ourselves which is real, which is authentic, which is just ours, which is linking that beautiful space, like the perfect space where passion meets story and narrative, meets skills and attributes, and just focus in there. Like, it's so beautiful to just be you and be exactly who you are and exist that way.
And, it's really almost the definition of, peace of mind when you're in that state. And I think we probably all know what that feels like, but I feel like it's like walking a tightrope to get into that space, because you can find that. And then if you sort of let yourself off the hook and let your ego, take the driver's seat again, which can happen so easily, you can just fall back into that. So you have to be very disciplined, very self-assured, very, you have to keep reminding yourself all day, every day about who you are, what your values are, being very clear on that, so you can almost run these ideas through a lens to get you back on track, because it's so easy to you just get swayed.
It's so true. And actually, it could really rob us of that lovely space of becoming a learner again, because we start just pushing to have the achievements or the things, and we're really scared to show that like we're not good at something. Something I do with like a bunch of my clients, I call it the high performer reformer. It's like all these people, like they love to be good at stuff, right? And I'm the same. Like I love to be good at stuff. I love people to go, oh, that's cool. You can do that thing. But we're going to learn to be bad at things. Like it's cool to be bad at something. It's like fine to be a beginner and learning something again. I get people to pick a skill that they're super shit at and then film themselves doing that thing and send it to a friend, post it on Instagram, put it wherever. Like, I don't care. Like, learn to be shit at something and feel okay about that and just get better and learn for the sake of learning. Like, that's the antidote, man. Like, get back into that beautiful learner mindset. We get so scared to learn because it looks like we're not good at what we do, or we don't have the best craft, or we're not the best anymore.
Totally. How do you tread that fine line of operating in that space where you stay authentic to the process and really, enjoying moment to moment what you're doing, but also maintaining a level of ambition without letting that take over?
It's such a great question. It's awesome. And part of the answer, I think, comes back to something you just said about, we aim so high. Like we have these like huge aspirations of like, when I get there, I'm going to pop a bottle of champers and everyone's going to clap and it's going to be dope and I'm going to high five everyone and then just like bask in the glory of this achievement. First of all, that never happens ever. Like we never actually get the achievements in the way we imagine or we want. And second of all, how much more sustainable is it to take this big thing we want? And I'm all about ambition. I'm ambitious. The people I work with are ambitious. I love ambition. But break it all the way down into a day by day thing. Like it's like, I know that if I can do this one thing today, this one task, that's going to take me 1 hour or 2 hours, and that's it. If I do that one thing, that's going to be my win. And I've won. Like I've hit my high today. Like I'm off. Everything else is cream on top, and that's beautiful. But I know I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And then I'm going to do it again the day after that, and the week after, the month after. And then I'm going to hit that point that I'm chasing and I'm going to surpass it times a million, but I will have been celebrating every single day along the path and being buoyed on wins rather than crushed by the weight of my ambition and not quite reaching it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing how it does compound when you can do that. And it's so fascinating how there is, when you can understand this stuff logically, but it's almost like if you haven't experienced and built that muscle of just showing up every day and seeing that bring the results and, going about it in that way, even if you have the logical evidence and understanding, it's so difficult. There's so much inside you pulling you to put all these pressures on, to need to be this and do that and do it all at once. And it's a hard thing, but I couldn't agree more. You just need to break it down into those small chunks.
100%. And actually, there was an amazing piece of research done, I think it was like 2014, by Professor Teresa Amabile. So it was published in the Harvard Review. People should check it. It's amazing. It's called The Power of Small Wins. And it was this huge, huge quant study of just hundreds and hundreds of people in kind of small C creative industries like ours, and looking at, like, in the most reductive of terms, what makes a good day at what makes a bad day and how good days and bad days stack up over time to performance and well-being outcomes. And what I've found is in 90% of cases, regardless of interference, a day in which you start a thing and finish that thing, and that thing feels meaningful either to you or it's meaningful to the work that you're doing, that's a good day. And when I say regardless of interference, that's like you can have the world's shittest manager like over your shoulder, or you kind of like had a car accident on your way to work, or spilled your coffee on yourself in front of your boss, or whatever it might be. Doesn't matter. Like that, like it's still a good day. You start a thing, finish a thing, and that thing's meaningful. And over time, those wins, those small daily wins, stack up to extraordinary performance gains, extraordinary efficiencies, incredible impact, greater gains in learning, greater gains in assessing where opportunities are and taking them and grasping them. But also, and this is the most important bit and goes to what you and I are passionate about, I know, incredible gains in well-being. Because I'm just constantly floating on this ocean of wins. You know, it's just like carrying me along this ocean, down this stream. Use insert water metaphor here. Rather than constantly swimming against the tide and just being crushed by trying to do too much, having a to-do list of 50 fucking items and I'm never going to get to any of them. You know, it's a total reconceptualization of how we think about our days and our sense of mission and purpose.
If you're listening to this and you want to make a change in your life, but you don't know where to begin, I've created a free Move Your Mind masterclass that walks you through how to build sustainable habits and make change that really sticks. And you'll also get access to a free weekly newsletter where I post practical tools and stories that I don't share anywhere else. To watch the free masterclass, head to go.nickbrax.com/moveyourmind. That's go.nickbrax.com/moveyourmind. You can also find the link in the show notes. Yeah. And it's so liberating to be able to operate in that zone, because it feels horrible when you're putting that pressure on yourself and it's like you've got 50 tabs open in your brain and
100%.
You're trying to, you want to put your head through a brick wall, it's just like, it's horrible. And you start questioning yourself, you start asking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I handle this? What am I doing wrong? And then you naturally want to push harder. And about 3 weeks ago, I was having a conversation with someone and she was saying, when you're in that state, you've got to actually remove things rather than stack more things up. Your natural inclination is, I need to do more.
Yes. Actually, I listened to that episode, by the way, and I thought that was so cool. It's such a nice idea that, like, even when you are at your most up against it or you're pushing to achieve, it's where's my less to go with my more is like a really lovely lens to be able to take to our lives and our work. But also, and something I know you're really passionate about, Nick, and I was saying off air, I love your 24-minute program, so good, is like, whether it's in work, whether it's in our broader life, living well, whether it's in our self-talk, like just going small can make the biggest difference ever. It's not about like, I'm going to do the sickest gym split and be in there for 2.5 hours and break my body, or I'm not going to do like the craziest, like, yoga rituals every day or meditation rituals of hours and hours. It's like, let's just go minimum and build on that. And instead just feel like I can sustainably keep this going for the rest of my life if I wanted to. I like getting people to do, I call it the triple M, but it's like just every day, just pick one mindfulness activity, whatever it is. And you're just going to do it for 5 minutes. It might be meditation, it might be yoga, it might be just having a walk, it might be just going and sitting in the garden, whatever. But just one thing for 5 minutes. I want you to take one movement for 5 minutes, like whether it's do some burpees, whatever, it's efficient, like do some jump squats, like get out there, go for a little jog, just move for 5 minutes. You're good. And if you want to do more, do more. But just getting that in as the baseline every day is great. And the last is the me talk, like to spend 5 minutes journaling, pumping yourself up, some affirmations, rap along to your favorite song if you want to, it doesn't matter, but just something to get in that mindset to kick your day off right. If you can do those 3 things on repeat and then just build on them if and when you want to, you're winning. Like, it's amazing.
100%. I love that. I love that because you're building that muscle of just showing up for yourself. And often, when you don't feel like doing anything and if it's, I'm going to move for 5 minutes, if you do that, you end up moving for probably half an hour. You sort of, it's getting started's the hard bit. But we shoot ourselves in the foot when we're aiming too high. So I love that. I might have to steal your model, mate, and try it out. I think that's great. How would you give someone advice if they want to simplify things and take this advice that, we're talking about, but they are getting pulled in, different angles all day, every day, because, as we talked about, there's this method, there's that method. So even if you're, looking at, okay, if I just do these three things, then later on in the day, someone else might tell you to do this, and then your mind starts, it regresses back into feeling the need to do more. How do you stay sort of simple and not get pulled in these different directions?
I'm going to give like my hot take to open this up, and then I'm going to give some really practical stuff. But 100%, like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about the question that Nick just asked and you're feeling really up against it, with the exception of Nick's podcast, stop listening to any personal improvement or self-help podcasts or audiobooks for the next 3 months. Stop it right now. Listen to Nick, but don't listen to anyone else.
Only listen to Nick and Nick in this conversation, no one else.
Yeah. You can just replay this one over and over. It's straight up. I have a genuine belief that part of the overwhelm that is caused by people who are genuinely interested in their own health and well-being but experience burnout is driven by this overload of systems. It's like, I need to keep doing this thing. I need to try that thing. There's this framework. There's this concept. There's this idea. It's too much. Like, what do I do? Do I let them? Do I be gritty? Do I whatever? Like, it's just a total overwhelm. So instead, give yourself a break. And I want you to focus on the following things. I want you to pick 3 words that describe you when you're feeling your best self. And they don't need to be words that mean anything to anyone else. They just need to mean something to you. And I want you to think about where those words are present in your life at the moment, where they've shown up for you in the past, and what conditions help those words to be present. I want you to look at how you're living your life, how you have things structured, how you're working. And I want you to push out 6 months from now and envision a life for yourself where those 3 words, those best self words, are more present for you then than they are now. Then connect the dots between now and then. What hard conversation are you going to have to help those words be more present? What boundary are you going to put in place for those words to be more present? What are you going to invest in yourself? What are you going to learn? What are you going to do for those words to be more present? Where are you going to disconnect for those words to be more present? All you need to focus on is conditions and feeling your best self and moving towards that as a driver of performance. Like, this is the thing we need to remember. Well-being is not a nice to have. Well-being is a driver of high performance. And if that's what you want and you want to be achieving more, focus on your best self, focus on conditions, reduce the noise, put boundaries in place. Do it now.
Great advice. It is good advice. I'll take it. Everyone listening, please take this advice because we all need to. It's so true though. And I totally agree with you though. Like it's unprecedented how much content is getting produced every day and put out into the world. And in many ways, there's a lot of positives about it and there's a lot of negatives. But I feel like it like you're saying there, you can get addicted to consuming content, consuming this self-help stuff, consuming all of these different things and getting a dopamine hit and validating yourself to think, oh, I'm progressing, that's great, which at some point we do need that learning curve. But I really believe if you had to choose between the two, just go and take action because you're going to,
Yes.
I look at my own life, the things that have really worked out for me, I never, I had no education on it. Like public speaking, I was so shy. I couldn't talk look someone in the eye when I spoke to them. And I was horrible and I had to keep going up and doing it over and over again. No one told me how to do it or what to do. And I don't think I would have ever got there if I tried to just online read, do courses, take in all this information. I would have probably scared myself out of taking the action. And
Yes.
every important thing that's happened in my life has been from just taking that action. And it's not to say that it's not important to have the education, but if you're going to choose between the two, I think we need to take more action.
It's so true. And it's like we can mistake consumption for action. We can mistake
Yeah.
purchasing for action. Like you just said it, like it's like, I've purchased a course, I've purchased this thing, so I've taken action, like I'm good. We can also actually take action and then never finish it, never land the plane. Like it's like get the kind of moth to a flame, kind of like bright, shiny thing mentality around stuff. But what you just said is so beautiful, Nick. And actually, it reminds me there's this logistics company, Main Freight, big international company, but a New Zealand based company. And they have this company motto that I love, which is ready, fire, aim, which is we can spend so much of our life aiming or trying to like get the perfect plan. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, just go, like, just take action and then work it out while you're moving, you know, like, better to actually have something, some evidence, some data of your own to base readjusting, re-going, firing again off.
Let it get messy. Yeah, let things be
Yeah,
messy,
man.
and you learn, and often the answer is different to what you thought it would be, but you don't find that answer unless you let it get messy and you get that data, you get that information. So, yeah, it's so important.
Dude, let it get
Love that.
messy is great. That's going to be my mantra from now. I'm carrying that forward. Let it get messy. Let's go.
I know, I need to get that tattooed on myself as well. Just let it get messy. Let it get messy, work it out after.
It's going to be a really messy tattoo, though. Like, it's going to be super sketchy.
I know. I don't know how whether you can take this messy thing too far as well. We'll come back for a second interview, and both our lives have fallen apart because we've just complained.
We'll be having fun, though. We'll be having
Yeah,
fun. It's
as long as we're having fun. So you were talking before about you mentioned people might do a course and not finish it. I'm super interested. I know I've done this a lot. I've got ADHD, and I've gotten a lot better at it in recent times because it's a thing I've had to work on the most with myself, which is sticking to one thing at a time and seeing it out. And I'll have that tendency, which I know a lot of people have, where you get that excitement at the beginning, you're doing a new task, a new project, a new business, whatever it is, and then it gets hard and it gets boring and you get stuck, and then you think that there's something wrong with what I'm doing, so I'm going to go and find the new thing, and then the same process over and over again. I'm interested your view on if you're doing that over and over again, not completing these things, what does that do to your psyche? Does that start to really play on your self-esteem, that you subconsciously, feel like you're not worthy because you're not finishing these things?
And thank you so much for saying that. And you know what? Like this has been my life story until the last 5 years. But like I started and didn't finish so many things. Like it's like a gag with my friends. Their
Same.
ears used to bleed from me just like telling them about the big new idea, and they're like, "Fucking hell!" Like I cannot hear about another idea from this guy. Like no shit. In 2019, I decided that like as like a side hustle, I'd seen like neck harnesses, those harnesses that people put on their head and like to get thick necks. I was like, man, this is like the key to concussion prevention, like in sports. And I used to box, so I was kind of into it. I was like, just like getting a thick neck. It's like the shock absorbers of the brain. This is going to be huge. So next minute, like within 24 hours, I've ordered a fucking shipment of neck harnesses from Pakistan that are coming over. It's like 300 kilos of chain and harness that's coming. It arrives and I look at it, I'm like, oh fuck, this really looks like GIMP headwear, like this is like kind of nasty. None of it's up to scratch, no safety stuff. I shit you not, these neck harnesses are sitting about 20 meters from where I am right now. Like I've never sold one. I used one once. I was like, oh, this thing sucks. Like I'm never going to try selling this thing. Like I started, and my coach, Joseph Gardner, shout out Joseph, my coach gives me shit about the fact that I didn't put this out, but I started a book or like a memoir called The Unfinisher. I started it also in 2019, and I never finished it. And he was like, that's perfect. You should have put it out unfinished because that's the whole point. Like, put it out.
Totally.
But I have to say, like, in all seriousness, like, these are funny stories, but it really crushed my sense of self, man. It crushed my sense of identity. I got embarrassed. I was ashamed to tell my friends about anything I was into after a while. And I bring it back to now. It's like, move towards that space. We talked about it before of like, where does my story, where does my passion, where do my natural skills and attributes sit neatly? And how can I strengthen these on my journey? aim for things that sit neatly within that kind of sphere, but then go small. Go small and build. Like, don't go for the big shiny thing. It's like, it's not about, I'm going to write the great Australian novel and I'm going to get it published in 6 months and I'm going to be Stephen King knocking out 2,000 words a night. It's like, no, like, write 300 words twice a week and just love writing and just do it because it's dope. And that's your win. And stack that up again and again. Get better. Focus on craft. Focus on learning. Focus on getting better. And just stack wins over time. So we're constantly buoyed on the sense of getting things done. And then the achievement, the big shiny thing, it's going to occur. And it's going to be awesome when it does. But it's not going to be your back's broken or you're falling over on the way or the thing never happened. It's going to be that you're lifted by your wins.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for sharing that as well. And I'm fascinated by this stuff because it's just, so relevant to my own journey. And it's interesting because that's what I was doing the whole time. It's like, I love what you said there about just focus back on what is that intersection of what you're good at, where your interest is, stay in that. Because my journey was starting up company after company, having a lot of friends doing tech startups. They were having success. And I actually fell into, the work I was doing in mental health and that area. And I was like, I love this. This gives me meaning. This is what I want to do. But if only I could also make more money, or as much at least as my friends are making, even though I didn't really want to and it wasn't a value, but it was an insecurity. So it's like, okay, if I can do this tech startup and that works, then I can have permission to really do what I love doing, which I'm already bloody doing.
Yes.
And it went in this cycle, and then it became acting. And okay, if I become a huge actor, then I'll have a bigger platform to do the thing I love doing. And, I do love the acting, but really it was all still taking me away from this core thing, which is just like you said, go smaller, like allow yourself permission to do it. And then whenever I do that, it's like, what the hell? Like, this is not that complicated. Like, I've got permission to be happy right now. I can actually live the life I want, do the things I want to do. But we pull ourselves out of that because we tell ourselves we need to be all of these different things that aren't necessarily a value for us on our journey.
So true. And it's as a dude in the training space, I'm sure you're familiar with Jim Wendler, the guy who wrote 531. And I went on like a strength training kick like 12 years ago, which I'm certainly not on anymore. I'm on a weight kick now. No, but Jim, I really followed his writing for a while. And he said one thing that's like the least sexy thing anyone has ever said on social media, but it was live within your means. It's like, just like when you live within your means and you're really legit about doing that, you can actually afford to pursue passion in a different sort of way. You can afford to emphasize the things that are important to us rather than shooting for the big kind of glam lifestyle or kind of more or consumerism. It's like you live within your means and the freedom is fucking extraordinary that you can achieve when you do that.
Oh my God, it's so true. It's so true. If I go back to like my own life, if I'm doing this work in the mental health space, my podcast, talks, etc., for me, all I need is the ability outside of that to be able to do the acting and the creative things, without having this stress about, but I need to make more money, etc. And it's not that complicated, like you're saying. If we can set the bar lower in what we need to live at base level to have our core needs met, the whole world opens up. Because otherwise you're just on a treadmill and it's depressing. It's like, it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. Like so many, and I mean, I don't know, 70% of the executives that I work in are all in the same scenario, which is they've got these big jobs that don't align to their passions nor their interests, don't even really align to their skills in some cases, but they have to keep them, or they have to keep their salary at that level to be able to pay the fucking massive mortgage that they've taken out, to keep their kids in the private schools that they're in, to do all of the things. And the burden that they're carrying because of these commitments. And, there's always a way through. There's a way to make things easier. There's a way to make things more flowy. But it's like a fundamental principle, learning to live within means and learning to shoot for conditions over things, like over shiny things, is a really, really lovely skill set. And, I know a question you ask often, Nick, is what would you tell your 18-year-old self? And man, you better believe that's what I'm telling my 18-year-old self straight up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because then you've got permission to do what you love forever. You can architect a life where you can do that, and then you can't go too wrong.
100%. 100%. It's like the doors that open are beautiful. And it's all about what we focus on too and what we
Mm,
emphasize. I work with some people who are really high level in the industry that they're in, but they love writing and that's what they love. And they're like, oh, I just wish I was a writer. Like, that's all I really want to be. It's like, you are a fucking writer. Like, that is literally what you are. Like, if you write, you're a writer. If that's what you love, you're a writer, or you're an actor, or you're an artist, or you're a philanthropist, or you're whatever you love, whatever you decide to emphasize, and that's what brings your life meaning. That is what you are, not the fucking PD, not the position, not the big promotion, not what you're jostling to be like everyone else for, not your fucking bank account. You are what your passion is and what you choose to focus on.
exactly. Yeah, you're not being driven by these random social things that someone's decided is what qualifies you as being whatever a writer is meant to be. It's like, it's crazy, and that really opened up my whole world when I started thinking like that, because I was thinking I'm not enough unless I go and come over here to the US and become this massive actor, and then I'll have a legitimate platform, and then I'll be a proper person in the entertainment industry. I was like, what the fuck? Like, who gives a flying fuck? Like, well, it's just ridiculous. Like, you can do it now. You can be creative. It doesn't, you do it. It's not about that stuff. So it's just, yeah, we need to simplify.
And who is that someone anyway? I want to know who that
Yeah,
someone
who
is
said
who
that?
sets the standard. Yeah, that's right. Like, who is they? Like, they are always so successful and doing all this amazing stuff. Like, I don't know who they are, but they can fuck off because I'm like down for just living a dope life that feels awesome to me and that feels meaningful, feels purposeful, and feels in service of others. And what more could we possibly want?
Exactly. And it's so fascinating, the stuff around living within your means, because who's more wealthy if you've got one person making $2 million a year, but their life is costing 2.5 million to upkeep.
Yeah, so true.
And then you've got someone on 80 grand a year, but their life's costing 50 grand to upkeep, so they've got a bit
Yeah,
of money left over. Who's actually more wealthy? I would say the person
100%.
on the 80 grand is literally more wealthy than the person on the 2.5 mil.
Dude, that's facts. Like, that's absolute facts. And actually, I heard you say on the podcast recently that thing about there was like a study around, I think it was the 80K mark, that was like there's no market
Mm.
improvement in happiness after that. Man, Notorious B.I.G. said it best: more money, more problems. Like, that's it.
So true. He summed it up. He summed it up beautifully. Very elegantly summed it up. I like it. It's so true. Just back to burnout. Because I've had this experience a lot of times when you're feeling burnt out because of the mental load, but you're not actually doing a lot. Is that how
Yes.
it works a lot of the time? It's more in your head because it's confusing, because you start thinking, hang on, I must be doing a lot of stuff, or you feel like you're doing a lot, and then you start freaking out because you're feeling like, how could I fit any more into the day, even though I'm not doing that much? But you've got all these, like I was saying before, those tabs open in your head. And I had recently an example of that where I was feeling just a bit overwhelmed, and had a project I was offered to take on, and I was really looking into how I would do that, knew how much that would take while I've been so busy with this other stuff. And I got to the point where I just pulled the pin and said, no, I'm closing. Once I made that decision and just absolutely done, I'm not doing it, instantly clarity came back. So
Yes.
is that how it works a lot of the time? It's closing these tabs in your head, I guess.
100%. It really can be. Decision fatigue is a totally real thing, and being able to
Mm,
reduce the number of decisions that we need to make. Uncertainty can be a thing. Like, often it can be
mm,
something in our gut or the back of our head or our past experience, our subconscious telling us that something isn't quite sitting right. But rather than do the exploration to figure out what that is or where the risks are, we try to plow through, and that can become a lot. And I do think a lot of burnout can occur from focusing very heavily on things outside of our control, or like that we have very limited control over. So whether that's like the profit margins other people are experiencing in their businesses if you're a business owner, or whether that's fluctuations in the market if you're a business owner, or if you're an executive or you're in a day job, it's focusing on the organizational culture, which you don't have a lot of leverage to shape. Whereas when we pull back and go, what are the things that are within my control? Where can I focus my energy and start triaging our decisions? Like, all decisions don't need to happen at once, and they're not all created equal. Like, let's just take the 1, 2, 3 decisions that I need to make today. I'm going to make those, and the rest can fucking wait till I get there, and just like move through one at a time.
So much of it comes down to logic when you really break it down, but it's definitely not to say that it's easy, but a lot of it is just, okay, what can I control? What can't I control? Okay, well, the logical thing would be not to worry about the things I can't control and try and start fixing some of these things I can control. So we've just got to keep reminding ourselves that. And I think that's why accountability is so important as well, because someone who doesn't have that emotion attached to it, they can hold you accountable. They can give you some more clarity.
That's so true. And actually, accountability is so incredibly important. And it kind of comes to that space of letting the light in as well. I think people, when they do start to experience burnout or overwhelm, which is a kind of symptom that things are starting to kick off, there's a real shame that comes with that. People don't want to admit it, especially high performers. It's like, no, like I can just keep going. I'll keep crushing it. I keep smashing through this thing. And so that makes it scary to let the light in. And it can feel hard to even explain to someone else. Like, you're like, they go, how are you? And you go, I'm really busy. And like list off 1,000 things that you're thinking about. When actually, if you can just step up onto that balcony, like get off the dance floor, look at everything. There's a few very simple buckets going on here that an accountability partner can help you unpack and get to the bottom of and start prioritizing.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, it feels endlessly complex when you're stuck in it, but it's often not, like you're saying. But yeah, it's no, I think amazing advice. What would you say to anyone listening to this that is feeling completely stuck? I mean, you told me your story. I've talked a bit about mine. Someone who's feeling complete, that maybe they're one of these people in a job they just want to get out of. But they're stuck on that treadmill. They don't know what to do, and they're at that point where they feel like they're going to explode. What would you say to them? Yeah.
I'd say 100% that there is at least one, if not several, hard conversations that you're not having. And it's important to think about what are the conditions that are going to help me sustain at this point while I can have, buying a bit of time really to forge a better plan. If you need to step away and rest, step away and rest. But please have the hard conversations with people that you need to have around boundaries, around managing expectations, around saying the thing that needs to be said. Please ask for help if you need help. It is not a shame job to need to ask for help. We're seeing this amazing increase across a lot of our countries in terms of people feeling like it's okay to talk about mental health. That's an incredible and beautiful thing. But I can say with certainty that that is not extending to the executive ranks of our workplaces, and it's not extending to business founders or people who are really up there trying to live this kind of high performance life. It is okay to ask for help. It's okay to step back. It's okay to start simplifying, and it's okay to start thinking about things differently. What I would really want people to do who are in this space is to start finding a win and to decide on every day what's the one thing that I can do that might take an hour or 2 hours that's going to be my win for the day, and everything else doesn't matter. Like, let everything else slide, and then find another win the day after and the day after that, and make sure you're prioritizing yourself, your well-being, and addressing your self-talk while you're at it.
Amazing advice. Yeah, really, really good advice. And if that same person wanted to take that advice but didn't feel comfortable asking someone for help, or they're embarrassed or they're scared, where can they go if they, or maybe they don't have someone directly they can go to? Like, what would you say in that case?
Look, I'd say whatever works for you, any sort of help is important. Obviously, it's confidential if you go to see a coach or a psychologist or a counselor. Like, take your pick, talking to anyone will help. I have a personal affinity with coaching. Obviously, I'm a coach, but I like the fact that it's action-based and future-focused, and it is about addressing current needs and moving on. But if burnout is causing mental health challenges to crop up, see a psychologist. I've seen a psychologist. Seeing a psychologist is awesome. It gives you an opportunity to unpack stuff that feels really important. You feel lighter after you leave. And when you can find someone who can help you start setting a plan, getting rid of the noise, getting all that stuff out of your brain, simplifying, it's incredible how quickly things can start feeling lighter, easier, clearer, and much more directional for you as you move through your life and your career journey.
Absolutely. So anyone listening, if you're needing help with this, you call Nick. You go to Nick as a coach. Where can they go if they want to find out about you, book you as a coach, look into what you do? Where can they actually go?
Thanks, Nick. They can go to, if burnout is something you're experiencing, go to www.thebigrefresh.com. The Big Refresh is a program. It's an 8-week program. It's awesome. It helps people bounce back from burnout, but also start performing better than ever. If you're an executive and you're looking for coaching, you can look at Uncut Coaching, which is my leadership and executive coaching site. But also, like, I just want people to have like the stuff that they need to start getting better. So I've got a free 7-day e-course called the Mini Refresh. You can download it. It's awesome. You get like a fun, motivational, I think they're fun daily email from me, but also this dope workbook that's totally packed with tips, tricks. It's going to help you structure out everything, gives you heaps of the models we've talked about today, but it'll help you put it into a system that you can carry forward after that. So if you're keen on that, you can download it from the Big Refresh website, or you can get it off the link on my Instagram at the Big Refresh.
Amazing, mate. Well, we'll have all of the links in the show notes, so make sure to check those out. And again, mate, thank you for being so open here and sharing everything. I've really enjoyed it. I've taken a lot out, and it just reminds me every day. For 15 years, I've been speaking in this area, and I still really believe just sharing stories is one of the most powerful ways to connect and to help people identify and talk about their problems that they're having, because we often tell ourselves there's something wrong with us, but then when we hear someone else talking about similar things, that we relate, it really helps. We realize that we're all very similar.
I couldn't agree more, Nick, and thank you for sharing your story, man. Like, I've done this deep dive on some of the content of yours over the last couple of months. And man, it made me really emotional, actually. Like, the beauty that you put into sharing that big, challenging story about your dad and then your life after that and growing into the man you are. What a beautiful dude you are, and how inspiring it is to so many. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, mate, and same to you as well. So we finish with 5 closing questions. First one, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind for you?
Oh, it's such a good question. Okay, so when I was like 7, were you a Ghostbusters head, Nick? Did you like Ghostbusters?
Yes, I did.
Right. I was like a huge Ghostbusters head, and there was a colouring competition. I grew up in Ararat in Victoria, a little country town. There was a colouring competition that the local Toy World was running, and I really tried. I really put everything I had into this colouring competition to win the Ecto-1, which was like a toy of the car from Ghostbusters. But I really thought I had no shot. I was 7. There was 10-year-olds going in it, whatever. But I really put the work in. And I remember my mum picking me up from school and getting me to look in the back seat, and the car was just sitting there, and I'd won this competition. And dude, that's things don't get better than that, really. And there's all kinds of lessons. It's you put in the work, amazing things can happen, whatever. But actually, it was just fucking awesome. And I reckon that's the happiest I was my entire childhood. I was running up and down the street, screaming, losing my mind. It was amazing.
Oh, mate, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, if only we could sort of experience, that joy. When you're a kid, it's just everything so exciting, eyes wide open. It's nice to be able to remember that.
Oh, it's the best, man. It's the best, and I get to relive it through my daughter now all the time as well, and it's just awesome.
Oh, I love that. I love it. What do you think is currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
I think the biggest burden is where external validation gets tied up with our sense of identity and who we are. So I feel like we often forget about what the conditions are we're looking for or what our work or our lives are in service of for ourselves, and we just start to chase external validation. There was this like amazing
Mm.
study done a few years back, and I always come back to this, which was they took two groups of kids up to the top of a mountain to watch the sunrise. And one group was allowed to take their devices, and the other one wasn't allowed to take devices. And they watched the sunrise, and it was fucking beautiful, like it was lovely. And afterwards, they surveyed all the kids and said, out of 10, how good was your experience? And the kids with devices were encouraged to take photos of the sunrise. Universally, both groups, the kids were like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It was amazing, like best thing ever. A week later, they came back to both groups and said, hey, that sunrise last week, out of 10, how good was it? The group without devices, again, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. The group with devices, a few said 10 out of 10, but a few were like, nah, 6, like 3, like mid, like whatever, like 5 out of 10. And that's because those with devices, after they posted the stuff, if they didn't get enough likes, they rewired that entire experience in their brain that they said was fucking awesome at the time. They're like, no, it wasn't that good. It was kind of whack.
Oh,
Like, this is
wow.
the scourge, man. This is the scourge. Like, we need to be present. We need to have a strong sense of identity, and we need to just let external validation fall by the wayside and start internally validating our lives instead.
Yeah. That really sums up so much of what we've talked about today. That is a great example, a scary example, and a good example.
For real.
What would you say is your personal definition of happiness?
Man, I might have lived it. I might have lived it last Thursday night. So I'm in Melbourne, and Kendrick Lamar was playing in Melbourne at Amy Stadium, and I'm just like such a fan of Kendrick Lamar's. But so is Coco, my 10-year-old daughter. Like, she's a massive, massive fan of Kendrick Lamar's. And I went and picked her up from school camp early in Ballarat, Sovereign Hill, drove back, was like gridlocked, crazy traffic, and it was like very stressful and whatever. I was like, oh my God, like I wish we weren't doing this thing tonight. This is so stressful. As soon as we got in the stadium, walked through, this show started, and it was like incredible. And I look over at one point, my daughter is rapping along every word, and I'm rapping along every word to this thing. And it's just like, what more could we ask for, man? It's this huge
Mm.
crowd, everyone connecting, everyone is present. Nothing else matters in this moment. All of our passion united all at once around this one beautiful achievement moment of seeing this person at the peak of their powers in front of us, just commanding a stage. And it was like, I was so happy. Like, and I've just been carrying it ever since.
It's like what gets better, being able to share that with your daughter, something that an experience
Oh,
like that. It's yeah, you can't get better.
dude, it was the best. It was just incredible. Like, I'm still fully like riding high on that moment.
I love it. Well, you referred to this earlier a little bit, but I'll ask you again. If you could go back and give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
Mhm. I was talking about living within your means last time, but I would also
Mm.
say I think there's something important in asking myself, how is the life that you're living at the moment aligned to the future that you say you want? Like, I really, when I was 18, like, I just wanted to be a musical artist. Like, that was it. I wanted to do it. But the life I was living was I just fucking party 24/7 and wanted to live that like rock star lifestyle or whatever. And I was never focused on working on my craft. I was never focused on getting
Mm.
better. I just wanted to be good at it. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to get those fundamentals back. I would say if this is a thing that you really want to do, or anything in your life that you want to do, focus on being a learner, focus on fundamentals, and live a life that is in service of the future that you say you want.
So important. Yeah, great advice. Well, final one. What are you most proud of?
Man, like I might be most proud of me, you, us at the moment. Like this is a rare and beautiful thing that we both get to do in our lives. Of we get to hold space for people to be vulnerable and to share what's going on for them, and to share these big things, and to help them find a different way forward, and to use our own experience to inspire or make it feel safe for others to do so. Man, I just feel fucking proud of us. Like, how cool is that?
It's a beautiful thing to be able to do, and it's a fortunate thing, and I think being able to do anything that can even have a small impact on someone's life, it's like, wow, like what more could you ask for? It's a pretty amazing experience. So, mate, appreciate, like I said, you being so open. I've loved meeting you. I'm sure we're going to stay in touch, and we'll have to go and catch up for a coffee when I'm next in Melbourne. And love the work you're doing. Love your energy. Thank you for making the time here.
Oh, man, I'd love that. And thank you. Thank you so much for everything.
And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and any topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or send me a DM. Your feedback is always appreciated. It would mean the world to me if you can subscribe to my channel, leave a like or comment, share it with your friends. It makes a world of difference. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me to get this show bigger and better and bring on the guests and the production value that you ask for every single week. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much.